Sorry, didn't catch you there. I'm Lexi Bannock, and I'm here to talk about mindhunters. I'm an avid reader and an avid vlogger.
Reviewing the 0 blogs you have posted.
Mindhunters by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. This is a true crime biography that discusses the real cases and experiences that Douglas had in the FBI.
Oh my gosh, all I know is...
Mindhunter tells us the tale about how Douglas developed the Behavioral Science Unit, as what is known today as Behavioral Analysis Unit, an FBI elite unit. Although that wasn't always his desires, Douglas started college with an idea of becoming a vet, and went to school in the middle of nowhere to try to achieve this. He had a few too many run-ins with the cops, and a letter requesting his selective services that he decided to join the Air Force and finish a general undergraduate degree. He also lost his best friend, and his desires to want to help changed. Eventually, Douglas joined the FBI and became a teacher for the BSU, teaching the cadets techniques for catching a criminal. He realized that the scenarios and ways cadets were learning to catch criminals were unrealistic and needed to be changed. To catch criminals, you need to think like one, and that wasn't a widely accepted method, as many only believed following the cold hard facts. Therefore, he started to profile through psychological analysis. To develop his techniques, he interviewed many notorious criminals to answer the 5 W's, mainly focusing on the why. He found similarities among criminals and uses that as a base when profiling a perpetrator. He refined his techniques and started applying them to catch criminals. For example, many criminals do not have a good home life, and he could profile an unsolved by seeing if they ever tried to hurt their family or one of their family members became a victim. He realized also that he became highly sophisticated and organized guys had a higher IQ. He also determined if the unsolved lived close to the site at which the victim was found. Everyone called him a psychic since his profile was spot on for each case. Eventually, his profile could be used in court cases or Douglas as an expert witness to help a conviction of these dangerous criminals. I'm going to read one of my favorite paragraphs from the book Mindhunters. But back in the just the facts ma'am Hoover days, no one in any position of authority considered what became known as profiling to be a valid crime-solving tool. In fact, the very phrase, behavioral science, would have been considered an oxymoron, and its proponents might as well have been advocating witchcraft or psychic visions. So anyone dabbling in it would have had to do very informally with no records kept. When Tenton and Mulvaney began offering personality profiles, it was all done verbally, nothing on paper. The first rule was always, don't embarrass the Bureau. And you never wanted to document something that could blow up in your or your SCC's face. This passage represents the beginning stages of the BSU, as profiling isn't considered factual evidence and seems to be embarrassing for the Bureau, especially if it's wrong. Many didn't believe in the psychology part of catching a criminal, but instead only following the whole cold, hard.
Oh my God!
Profiling helps lead to catching a criminal when the facts ran dry. The Bureau was originally ran by a strict and conservative guy, Hoover, who didn't let girls become FBI agents or allow new theories on how to catch criminals. Therefore, Douglas needed to find a way for everyone to start accepting the BSU's ideas and profiles, and eventually he does, but not until after Hoover is out of being in charge. All in all, Mindhunter is an amazing book to read. To be able to see how someone's life impacted techniques used today was quite interesting. As I also want to be an FBI agent, this book was a perfect fit for me and a quick finish, even though it was about 400 pages long, and I never have time to read as I'm usually busy making bank at work. I was hoping to learn about the most notorious criminal cases on an inside level, instead of only the coarse news articles. One case that really spoke to me was the Unabomber. I watched the reenacted TV series Manhunt, the Unabomber. That was an amazing show that viewers saw the new problems and ideas used to touch Ted Kaczynski, including handwriting analysis. Towards the end of the book, it states, the profile has been widely published by now, and I've seen no reason to alter my judgment. When Unabomber first struck, law enforcement wasn't as set up to use our type of analysis as they are now. This shows how Douglas had created a profile the moment he struck. But as I said, law enforcement did not use it to their advantage. This led to Ted's 17-year killing and injuring many, in the publish of his manifesto. His profile has never mentioned in the TV series, and Ted possibly may have had much power as he did, if the police just used his profile to help him catch early on. I also wanted to learn his techniques, so when I become an FBI agent, I will understand more. In Chapter scene
Is that even
discusses
English?
MO versus signature and the definition for it, since there is a difference, and this helps connect crimes. It states, modus operandi, MO, is a learned behavior. It is what the perpetrator does to commit the crime. It is a dynamic, that is, it can change. Signature, a term I coined to distinguish it from MO, is what the perpetrator has to do to fulfill himself. It's static, it does not change. This was a concept that really spoke to me, as the idea helps connect crimes to one, since the MO in each kill can be different. The idea of the kill is
Is
still
that
there.
even English?
Therefore, this helps. Instead of looking for multiple unsubs, you would be looking for just one. Questions I have wondered about how my life will play out, like a family life, were discussed in this book. Douglas was almost never around for his kids and led to hardships with his wife. This is something I did not want to deal with. I always wanted a large family, but I also want to fully dedicate myself to my job. And I don't want to be there. I don't want to hurt my family if I'm never around. Therefore, eventually, I will most likely have to choose, and I don't know what I will choose yet. But Douglas' life made me realize it's hard to have both. In the beginning of the book, it states, and it was the fear that led me to the next stage of the journey. This quote spoke to me as fear fueled him to keep trying, even though he's walking blind with his technique. I am scared to fall as well, and sometimes I choose not to continue because of it, but this book gave me the courage to continue, even if I do fail.
What are you getting
This book helped me
sappy on
confirm that I
now?
truly do want to be an FBI agent the rest of my life. Since the people wouldn't find detailed criminal cases interesting for me, this book was a page turner that was hard to put down. This book has led me to wanting to constantly discuss this book for a loss of words, as I truly couldn't put in words how amazing this book is. Mindhunter is a New York Times bestseller and a hit Netflix series, a book that receives 5 stars according to me. This book is for anyone interested in crime and, importantly, criminal behaviors. It is not for anyone who cannot handle terrible crimes, as many gruesome scenes are described in this detail to help the reader understand the scene better. Also, this book is for good people who like to guess the word, or killer in this case, before it's told, like Wheel of Fortune. Douglas would explain the crime scene first before telling us his profile, for example, the Atlanta child murders. This allowed me to create my own profile first before reading him and comparing, as I was mostly right about most things, like the fact that the unsub was black and most targeting the victims as not a hate crime. I would recommend this book to most of my LEPS class that I attended high school. In class, we learned about certain cases like John Wayne Gacy, and this book we read about had an interview with him. All in all, Mindhunter is an amazing book to read with real insight inside the FBI and a helper to what I will be expecting in my future